After the state fair, it will be back to school for most local students. Health experts are encouraging you to put vaccinations on your back to school list. Doctors recommend children to get vaccinated for measles, mumps, and chickenpox. The Minnesota Department of Health shows that more than 90% of kindergartners and 7th graders were vaccinated last school year.
So a lot of times school is a melting pot, both of fun but also of germs, unfortunately. And so back to school time, if one kiddo in the class gets sick and it's a preventable illness that a vaccine could prevent, if the other kiddos aren't vaccinated, then everybody could get it.
Doctors say even if you already had an illness, you can still get vaccinated. Hennepin County is celebrating Breastfeeding Awareness Month. Reporter Pafua Yang spoke to local moms about the challenges they faced while nursing and what Hennepin County is doing to help.
No, I had a baby and then I got hired.
For many moms, nursing can be a real struggle.
I went through all the issues, a poor latch, sore, cracked nipples, and everything that most of the clients that I have are going through.
Ya Enti is a mother of 4. She eventually received help from a peer counselor and learned it was a simple fix.
I think one thing is just positioning, making sure that when an infant is breastfeeding, they're not just suckling on the nipple, but they actually have the nipple pointed upwards back in their mouth. And that just right there is going to reduce pain.
Just like Enti, Kawana Finkley went through the same issues. Both moms now serve as peer counselors themselves through the Hennepin County WIC program. WIC stands for Women, Infant, and Children. It helps families eat well and stay healthy.
I had to help her.
Enti and Finkley are encouraging others to nurse because they say breast milk tops all formulas, even if you don't have the best diet.
Yeah, breastfeeding really helps to reduce obesity, childhood cancers, type 2 diabetes.
WIC officials say the Hmong and African American population have the lowest breastfeeding rates within the WIC program. They say that could be due to a variety of things like work-related issues, economic issues, and cultural barriers.
A lot of times the older generation, they feel that you're not going to be able to satisfy your child's hunger with just breast milk.
Finkley says because there's not a lot of breastfeeding within the African American community, it isn't normalized. However, WIC shows that breastfeeding rates increased across the board with the help of peer counselors.
There were times that I probably would have stopped if I hadn't received breastfeeding help.
In Brooklyn Center, Pafua Yang, CCX News.
A documentary explaining the low breastfeeding rates among women of color will be screened on Monday. We have more details on our website, ccxmedia.org. A senior living community in Plymouth has taken steps to adapt to the digital age.
Alexa, ask the Birches what's on the menu.
For lunch, we have BLT, Spencer's Beer Cheese Soup, and cucumber salad.
Trillium Woods in Plymouth provided Alexa devices to residents at its on-site health center. The device connects to an app, and now with a simple voice command, residents can ask Alexa to do things like call health center staff, check the daily schedule, or play games.
It was a super simple implementation, and so far the residents have really enjoyed them. They've really enjoyed the connection that it creates between them and their grandchildren and their kids who have the devices at home and come in and recognize the device, and then they're able to form that relationship and that connection through the devices.
Trillium Woods is the first senior living community in the Midwest to install the technology. The latest exhibit at the Robin Gallery is proving to be one of the most popular ever. Neil Persley takes us there in today's Weekend Showcase.
If you have fond memories of the Terrace Theater in Robbinsdale, you won't want to miss the current exhibit at the Robin Gallery.
This show is probably the accumulation of about 2.5 years worth of work.
The Terrace Legacy Project, in collaboration with the Robbinsdale Historical Society, put the exhibition together. When the Terrace Theater opened in 1951, it was billed as the finest theater in America.
A lot of digging into some of the history, finding some things that, people have not seen, some of it for 60 years, 70 years.
For example, they have the original guest book from the Terrace.
This was used by the Volk brothers when the theater opened in 1951 has probably, I haven't counted, but it's probably somewhere in the area of 15,000, 20,000 signatures.
The exhibit is a historical timeline.
You start at this end and you kind of work your way around. You can go all the way up to when we were trying to save it.
And covers theaters in Robbinsdale and North Minneapolis, like the Nile and the Riverview, predating the Terrace Theater. The information assembled in this exhibit is commendable, the bulk of which pays tribute to the Terrace.
And this was, billed as America's finest theater, and it really was. I mean, they got the finest carpets they could find. It was the same carpet maker that did the carpets for the Supreme Court.
Notable pieces you'll see are 2 restored letters from the Terrace, which used to sit atop its tower. Although all the letters were salvaged, many sustained considerable damage during demolition. Also on display is one of the original chandeliers that hung in the Terrace lobby.
Just because it's gone doesn't mean that the legacy isn't around. People still remember the Terrace, they still talk about it.
It's truly a fascinating exhibit and well worth your time stopping by. From the Robin Gallery, Neil Persley, CCX News.
A Maple Grove Elementary School student has a prize and an important message about fire safety. Emma Nyquist is the grand prize winner of the city's most recent fire prevention poster contest. This is Emma's poster here. Her school, Basswood Elementary, receives a trophy with Emma's name engraved on it. She also receives a $25 check. Her poster will be entered into the statewide contest sponsored by the Minnesota State Fire Chiefs Association. Congratulations, Emma.
The high school football season gets started in the coming week with opening games. We're providing daily training camp reports leading into those season openers. CCX Sports Director John Jacobson has this report on Maple Grove.
It was an uncharacteristic losing season in 2018 for Maple Grove. Despite having one of the state's best running backs in Evan Hull, the Crimson finished the season 4-6. Hull and a lot of the Crimson sides up front graduated, so this year's team will have a new look.
I think we're scrappy. We're not real big, and so I'm hoping our attitudes is what carries us. We're going to be little, but I think we're going to fly around and play fast. And like I said, hopefully we're like a bunch of chihuahuas that kind of nibble your ankles off, and by the end of the game, it's hard to walk, if that makes sense.
Yeah, we're definitely not a huge team. We're not going to scare anybody off the bus, but we're definitely going to be a faster group. Our middle linebackers are really quick. It's just my size. I'm not the biggest guy out there, but we're definitely quick.
With a smaller line up front, the Crimson are changing their offense up to fit their personnel and will be running a modified veer.
It's a lot of learning, a lot of new things, a lot of getting out on the field. You have to fix things up and stuff, but it's a lot of fun. A lot of new guys coming up, a lot of seniors that are getting more playing time, so it's going to be a lot of fun this year.
Among the offensive players back from Maple Grove in 2019 are junior quarterback Nate Elms, quarterback slot receiver Spencer Weary, fullback Herbert Fisk, receiver Luke Raymond, and lineman Tyler Weens. On defense, linebacker Anthony Gibson is a good one, and Cooper Weigscheid is a hard tackler. Both guys will likely see time on offense too. Defensive lineman Joe Bulow and linebacker Joe Schmidt are also players to watch. Perennial state football power Eden Prairie isn't on Maple Grove's schedule for the regular season, but there are still a lot of tough teams for the Crimson to battle.
You open with St. Michael, and they're going to be good, and then Totino had a lot of young kids play last year, and I know they're feeling much better about them. And then we got Edina third, and then Blaine, who finished in the final 4-4. So we're a team right now that we're trying to figure ourselves out. So every opponent's going to be a huge challenge, and we're just looking forward to playing on Friday night.
Matt Lombardi enters his 9th season at Maple Grove with a 62-25 career record. A total of 9 starters return, and as coach said, the Crimson open at St. Michael Albertville this coming Thursday night. The fall sports season is getting started at schools around the northwest suburbs in all sports. Over the past 6 weeks, we've featured some hardworking athletes who put in a lot of summer work. On our final Workout Warrior story for the summer, we visit Champlin Park. Getting up early and heading to summer training is no burden for Champlin Park senior football player Cole Fredrickson.
I love it. I love coming here every morning. I've been doing this since freshman year, so it hasn't really changed much. I think freshman year we might have started a little bit earlier, and we might have gotten done a little bit later. But it's pretty much the same thing every year. All the guys coming together, putting in work, and trying to get better for the season.
While Champlain Park's weight room was being redone this summer, the weights moved to the smaller wrestling room, but it didn't slow the work.
Last summer, I think we were a little bit upstairs and a little bit down here too, but having it all condensed into here, it makes it a little tight, but you know, we get by, we do what we can, and at the end of the day, we're just here to put in some work, so.
The first football games are next week. Cole and his teammates started preparing long ago.
Because for us, this year's football season started when we lost in the section championship game last year. And you know, the very next day it was, we need to put in all the work that we can to get ready for this season, because we want to make this season different than last season.
It's good to have a goal in mind to drive your workouts. It's something Fredrickson thinks about.
Our team goal is to make it to state, and every rep is one rep closer to the chance of making it to state, or the chance of making that one play that could, you know, set the team apart from other teams.
Fredrickson and the Rebels open the season at home against East Ridge this coming Thursday, August 29th. That's all for sports. More news after this.